Welcome back, guys, to the 4th episode of the Rainfall Retreat build series, where we're taking our client's empty yard and turning it into a luxury private getaway. Last episode, we talked about why concrete is a vital part to building a pool, and we saw how it was done. We left off talking about the concrete for the pool. Now we need to make sure it's not leaking. So let's get into why that's an important step that you definitely do not want to skip. Since we have all the concrete done, you can really see the shape of what we're working with, and I'm starting to get excited since we're past the halfway point. But let's move on to the leak testing. So here right now I'm doing a flood test to make sure our channel is not leaking, because once we cover all this, there's no access to it. So we're going to fill it up, see if any water seeps out of the shell. If it does, then that means somewhere's leaking. Leak testing is very important because nobody wants water outside of their pool, but most importantly, it could lead to structural issues. For example, if water is leaking under the pool, it would get into the soil, and over time it would erode, making the dirt below the pool not stable. That, with the added weight of all of the water in the pool, can create massive issues and safety hazards for the homeowner. To test for leaks, it's very simple. We fill the pool and channels with water and let it sit. We usually let it sit for 24 to 48 hours and then check the perimeter for visible leaking, and we check the water levels to see if we lost any water in places we might not be able to see. While we wait, let's check out the samples that we received for the back wall tiling. Because we have a massive back wall spanning the whole back side of the yard, I wanted to do something with it that would stand. So we are going to do a water feature going along the whole back wall that will have water run down the tiling and into the swimming lane. This adds more relaxing ambient noise and more detail to the experience, which is always nice to add when we can. We have two different types of actual tile that we are going to use. We have the darker color tile, which has a three-dimensional texture to it. More on that later. And we have the red tile, which is a smoother tile. The client is a player in the NFL and his team's color is red, and that is incorporated into the design and furniture inside his house. So I wanted to extend that into the backyard. Going back to the darker color tiling, there's a 3D texture to it, which should add an interesting rocky waterfall effect with the water running down it. We do have one issue with this tiling. The shipments have been delayed. Although this isn't a major issue, it's still an inconvenience because they don't have an estimated time on when it will arrive, which could mean we won't receive it until after everything's done. Before we get back to the possible leaks that we have, let's go over the water channel system first. The water channel, which goes around the perimeter of the pool, is responsible for carrying water from the knife edge design that would otherwise overflow out of the pool to our water storage tank. This is hidden under the tiles to give us a flush look from the outside, but still has functionality that keeps that look that we are aiming for. The tank holds excess water that is used for every feature, and the water eventually returns back into that tank via the water channels. Now that we know how the water channels work, let's get into the results of the leak test. As you would think, we are always hoping for no leaks, but our situation here is definitely not that bad. So over here, we're able to identify a spot that was leaking. So what we'll do is we'll drain it, patch it, and then redo it, retest it. That way, in the future, we won't have issues. So this is seeping out from the other side. Here we have leaking from the other side. So that's why it's always important to do this. Trust but verify. There are a couple of leaks, but nothing serious, which is great. All we have to do is patch them up, which should be pretty painless, and then retest again just to make sure that we didn't miss any other leaks and to see if the patches hold. To summarize what happened in this episode, we learned how to leak test and why it's important to do that. We got a sneak peek into the special tiling that we have for the back wall, and we saw the design we have to keep our water features and pool functioning. If you guys like this content, please let me know by liking the video, comment on any ideas that you guys have, and make sure to subscribe and hit the bell to be updated on the next videos we have for this project. We are almost at the end, and you won't want to miss the final product. Until next time.